Are we done here? I think we're done. So I want to come back, but I don't know. Are people going to be mad? Are they just going to be mad that I retired and now I'm coming back 3 months later and they thought I would never come back? And so some of them were upset that I even did it. And now they might be even more upset that I'm coming back and doing any streams. Will they be mad that I'm not doing it every single week? Will they be like, I demand that you do this show every single week? I don't know. Will they be upset that I'm going to be talking about people that I want to talk about rather than maybe, prosperity gospel people? Or maybe they think I should just be doing positive content, like doing Bible studies. Do they want chill streams all the time? I don't know. Are the chill streams too much? Or should I be doing a really formatted podcast, and they are mad that I'm not doing that anymore even when I come back and it's, in between stuff. I don't know. I just feel like I should come back and do a stream every once in a while to talk about the things that I'm passionate about and not do it in a blog. Do it on the video where people already watch stuff and they've told me every single week that they want me to come back and do some stuff. I don't know. Will they be upset? Will they not be upset? Can we just move on? Are people never going to forgive me for retiring, even though I thought, I was pretty much done with it? And now that no one's talking about it the way I thought they would talk about it, I feel like I have to come back. Like, is it? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know, Dad. Can we just watch Spidey?
Yeah, I guess that's fair. What is going on, Internet? I have come back to life. Kind of. I've been here the whole time. I've been in my house. It's the same place. You've seen it before. It's nothing new going on. Same stuff. Still got, diabetes stuff in front of me. Wife's still closing up the shop. Still don't want to watch the World Series because stuff happened last week that broke my heart. But here I am to talk about evangelical Christianity, what's going on in the evangelical world, because some stuff has happened, some stuff has occurred, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss it from Carol. We're going to discuss it from, let's go up. Yeah, Mule Rider. We're gonna discuss it with Brittany, with Curie Pie Lord. We're gonna discuss it with, of course, Pam. We're gonna discuss it with Iron Man 67. We're gonna discuss it with Sunny Family, who's like, "Oh, you're overthinking," but it was mostly for jokes. I just really wanted that last joke. And you have that mug. Anyone can still have that mug. Anyone can. So you could go onto redbubble.com, search Underdog Theology, and you too can have that mug if you want it. All right. Let's. We don't need to talk about what happened a couple months ago, right? Like, let's just move past it. Like, I've talked about it. I did a stream yesterday, kind of going through it. But I feel like I need to be here every once in a while for my own sanity, but also for your sanity, because you guys keep talking to me and being like, hey, we want you to come back. Also, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And have you seen this? And even though I'm mostly off of X, all right, I do have an account that I made. All right, I know Heidi. I know Heidi's already like, but I do have an account that I made so that I could watch sports and movies. Those are my lists. All right. But every once in a while, if I see something that somebody sends me, I might go looking. Okay. But we are going to be talking about some stuff that I feel like really matters. And unfortunately, I don't want to harp too much on this, but unfortunately, no one else is, or at least not in any way that I feel is reasonable. All right, let's get everyone ticked at me right off the bat. Let's talk about Charlie Kirk, because you can't not talk about Charlie Kirk. He has become this rallying point for what seems like most of evangelicals. Even though, Al Mohler, he talked about it. Charlie Kirk was not an evangelical for all that long. I believe he was a Christian. I'll say that right off the bat. And I don't think that I should have to nuance things, but because this is the internet and about like for what I'm going to say, it was wrong and horrific what happened to him. Like, obviously, for anyone, that would be just the worst absolute thing. It is terrifying to think that someone can go out there and just speak and be killed for what they're speaking. But, and here's the thing that is going to get some people very upset at me. We're going to dip into the politics a little bit because there has been stuff that has been happening because of that moment. That moment when he was gunned down horrifically, terribly, obviously praying for his wife still and his kids. It is absolutely terrible. But ever since that moment, we've had these far right evangelicals using this moment, using the murder of a man to further their own cause. It is happening every single day. Every single day, there are people who are still throwing Charlie Kirk's face into a thumbnail, uh, putting his name in a title, or basing some aspect of what they actually want to say into, like, if they could find a clip of Charlie Kirk saying that thing, they'll put him into it because they know that that will get clicks, but also they know what they're trying to accomplish. There are real evangelicals who want war. They do. They want it. People who say that they love Jesus, that they preach the gospel, that they are the ones who are standing up for truth, they actually want, probably shouldn't say some things on YouTube, but they want war and everything that war brings because they want the power seat. They want to be able to say that we are the ones who are in control of things. Now, not everyone is like that, but the Christian nationalists are. It has become abundantly clear that all they have been trying to do for the last couple of years is sow discord, to cause division, and also to get people in such a frenzy of anger that they don't even know how to see through the anger, these people who follow them. They're just so angry that they hear all these things. And now, like, this is why we're having conversations about Jews, about immigration in a way that we've never discussed immigration before. All right. Like, we could have discussions about what it takes to, get into a country legally. As someone who has been through this process, getting my wife a green card in the States, like, that was a thorough process. We had to do a lot. We had to spend a lot of money. I know the insides of that fairly well, and I can tell you it is robust. It is not a simple thing, but lots of people haven't been through the process and they hear the talking points. And now they're hearing the talking points not from Fox News or CNN or whatever news distributor you pay attention to, but they're also hearing it from pastors, from podcasters in the Christian world. And they're hearing things about how should we do immigration? Like, or how should we think about these pagans? Um, Now, is it technically true that someone who comes from a different ethnicity, a different background, and carries the religion of their location with them, like, yeah, they would be technically pagans. But the way that they are choosing to talk about them in such a way, what are they doing? They're saying they are the other. They're the bad guys. And that has all started really like, I mean, just it's a tidal wave right now after Charlie Kirk. They are using this man's murder to basically rally people toward thinking of someone else as the other. Now, that's also like it's immigrants, it's people of different religions, um, but it's also maybe you. Like, depending on where you live, how you vote, it might be you. And the reason why I said it in a stream yesterday, maybe you didn't see that because I took it down. I just wanted to kind of say some things to at least the core people and then kind of let it go. But um, there's a question that has been going around, and some say it doesn't matter. Was Charlie Kirk a martyr, a Christian martyr? And I think that there's a lot that goes into the discussion that we could get into, probably won't. But unless you guys have questions, feel free to keep going with questions. I will try to get through some of them. We'll see. We'll see how the stream goes. It's been a while. I might not be able to handle it. I've been streaming to like 5 people talking about movies, so it's been a bit. But um like the reason why it matters is because they are trying to say that he was the martyr. And so with that comes there's an enemy who is the one that is martyring Christians, murdering Christians. It's them. This has been maybe the most disappointing thing that I've seen in the last few years. People that I like, all right, people that I have listened to, people that even on this channel I have said, hey, go watch this or check out this person. Or, when I did tier rankings and got everyone ticked, these people weren't ticked because I said I like them. And then to hear people talking about them, they want to say that Charlie Kirk was a martyr so that now we could talk about who is the one that is doing this thing to Christians. It's them, it's the liberals. That's what they mean. It's very clear from all the stuff that they could then say from that. It's not the crazy people who get a hold of weapons and do terrible things. It is the liberals. It is the LGB blah 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 blah. It is the people on the other side of the political aisle who are the ones that we should then go at because we should get them before they get us, or we should get power over them before they could get to us. They're using these fear tactics and blinding people through anger and hatred to be able to get power. He let's see, like he was killed by a guy raised in a gun loving family, something that he encouraged, right? Now, again, I'm not here to say I know exactly why he died, but there is a difference between saying that someone died because what a martyr means is a witness. That's what the word literally means, a witness to the Christian faith. Now, I don't know how you feel about it. To me, I know people who don't hold to the Christian faith who said the exact same things that Charlie Kirk said. And that's supposedly the reason, although we don't fully know because we don't know who this person is really. We don't have, they haven't gotten their day in court and all that kind of stuff to be able to know. Some of the video hasn't come out yet about interviews and all of that. We won't know for a little bit exactly why. But like the things that we have heard kind of leak through media and all of that, it has really been this focus on it's his views on sexuality, his views on gender. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Muslims also have the same views. Mormons also have the same views. Jews mostly have the same views. Like you could look across the religious spectrum and find a lot of people who, at least according to their sacred texts, would agree with evangelicals on this issue of gender and sexual identity. If that's why he was killed, that's not actually for the Christian faith. The Christian faith is the gospel. Polycarp was killed for the gospel. When he said, 86 years I have served him, it will be a joy to go through this as well. Like, he has done me no wrong. That's dying for the gospel's sake. They wanted him to reject the gospel. All right. All throughout Christian history, there have been Christians who have died because of the gospel, not because of secondary issues, not because of, like, I don't think Nate Saint, I don't think that the natives like asked him a whole bunch of questions about sexual identity. They just heard him talk about a different God and they killed him. They killed his friends. Those people were martyrs. Now, it is awful and it is a crime and it should be punishable to the furthest degree of the law. It is a travesty what happened. But for me, when I look at it, I don't see him as a martyr. He didn't die for the gospel of Jesus Christ. He might have been a Christian who died because of something he said, which is terrible, which should never happen, especially in Western civilization. Like, I thought we had this thing on lock that you could speak your mind, but apparently that's not true anymore. Why does this stuff happen now? That's also a question that has been in the back of my mind. But as far as the whole idea about being a martyr, I don't know how you feel. Maybe some people will, even in this chat, will be like, "No, he was." But my point in saying I feel it's important is to say that you cannot use that to further some kind of agenda. Unless that agenda is the gospel of Jesus Christ, which these guys, you don't hear the gospel from them. You won't. You don't hear it from Doug Wilson. You don't hear it from Mark Driscoll. You don't hear it from all these guys who are trying to use Charlie Kirk's name to further their platform. You won't hear them talk about the gospel. What are you going to hear them talk about? Politics, power, putting people down so that Christians can be elevated, as if all of at least the United States history, while I don't believe it has been a Christian nation, it definitely has been run by a lot of Christians. So it's kind of bizarre to say, like, oh, we finally need power. What? Christians have had a pretty strong influence for a very long time, but that's what they want. That's what the Christian nationalists want. And now they're using such hateful rhetoric, such violent terms, and like the gates are gone. Like, they're using like gross language even. Like, they're just full on saying it. There's a clip of Brian Sauvé going around where he talks about a black man, whether he can be accepted into the church, which is a question no Christian should even have to think of. Like, that is the dumbest question I think I've ever heard. But he thought it was so necessary to talk about it on a podcast. And then from there, he just spouts a whole bunch of racism, like flat out racism. And there are people who are defending him. Like, 10 years ago, you're done. Like, you're just not, you don't get to talk anymore. Your podcast gets taken away. I don't know how it works. I'm assuming that someone, maybe Tim Keller, just walks into your house and takes your microphone and walks out. I don't know. Maybe DA Carson comes in there. Tim Keller distracts. He's the front man. He distracts and DA Carson runs behind and jacks the mic. I don't know. But that's the way it used to be. And now these guys, it furthers their platform to be racist? What? To be so overt about their hatred toward people who don't believe in Jesus, that they're saying like these people need to be deported not because they went about things the wrong way, they climbed a fence, you know, but they should be deported because of their religion, because they're not going to be a Christian. What? Don't you want the unsaved to come to you? Like, that's the dumbest thing in the world as far as someone who says that they believe the gospel. That's an unsaved person. I want them to love Jesus. I want them to turn to Jesus, repent of their sin, and trust in Christ. That's what I want. If they're going to come here, yay, I don't have to go over there. Let's save some resources. I thought we were about the gospel, but these guys are so weak in their theology, that they bounce around all the time. They're going from, oh, they're Calvary Chapel guys, to now they're, everyone's got a Mark Driscoll tattoo on their thigh, to now all of a sudden, they're all going after Doug Wilson, then he's the bad guy and he's not good enough. And then here comes these guys to basically just say, hey, let's just throw it all out the window and let's just focus on politics. And it's working. It's disturbing. It's disturbing what's been going on. And then these people get platformed. There's, like I said, no one's coming to jack their mic. They're actually giving them another one. They're asking them to be on another show. That's what's happening in evangelicalism. Online evangelicalism is broken. It's just flat out broken, like so many things online are. But I mean, we have reality has gone out the window. No longer do we know who these people are. We just know what their show's about. It used to be that you knew who Tim Keller was. You knew who he was. You knew that he pastored in New York. You know that like there's so many guys who would say that he's a faithful man, that he discipled them, he planted churches, he was involved in these movements. You know him. You could see it in his books. You could feel that person. You could know who that person was. We don't know who Joel Webbin is. Not really. What we do know is very troubling. Let's not forget. Just he's like he's I mean, in some states he would go to prison for what he's done to congregants. That's a real thing. And nobody's talking about that in these circles. Instead, we're getting people writing blogs about how he is a movement guy. Ooh, blessed are the movement makers. I didn't know about that in the Sermon on the Mount. I thought we were supposed to be about meekness. So, no, shut up. No, you should be about movements. You should be about being the philosopher like Wolf, or the architect like Doug Wilson. Blessed are the architects. No, that's not what Jesus told us to be about. He didn't say go and build your own kingdoms. He said to go and share the gospel with people. And well, sure, you might argue, oh, these people do that too. Okay, well, where is it online? Where are they? Like, they don't, all I see is the same stuff over and over and over again, reacting to this political thing, capitalizing on what that person said politically to put their stuff ahead. It's disturbing. So I think has this idea of putting people in the other, and specifically, like they did it like the last year. They did it with immigrants. They and pagans. They did it with them, and now ever since Charlie Kirk, these people are doing it with liberals. Because I really do think this, you could call me a conspiracy theorist, although, if I did a conspiracy podcast, apparently that's the greatest thing. Nephilim, anyone? But like, you can call me a conspiracy theorist, but I think these people realize that's the only way that anyone's actually going to listen to them is if they cause so much hate that they actually start wars. I think that's what they want. You've heard him even speculate about it. Doug Wilson has speculated. that there would be war in his lifetime over these kinds of things. You know, like they keep on doing this kind of stuff because they want people to get more and more riled up. And because people are angry about Kirk, as they should be, that should not happen. That should not happen. People should not be killed in the streets for saying something into a microphone. That should not happen. But because people are so outraged about that, they're just being blinded by their emotion and led astray from wolves. Wolves like Doug Wilson, wolves like Brian Sauvé, wolves like Joel Webbon, wolves like Virgil Walker. We'll talk about him. And of course, wolves like Mark Driscoll. Let's take a look. Guys, if you thought Mark Driscoll was done, never count Mark Driscoll out. He just keeps coming back. Guys, he's going to be talking at the Clear Truth Conference. If you're like, that name kind of sounds familiar, well, it's because it was this website. We talked about it back in the day. You guys remember this whole thing? You remember that and how they stopped posting because no one cared back in June? All right, you guys remember all their about us, I think is where it is. Yeah, their contributors. Remember that you had people like Mike Winger, you had Tom Askell, as you can see here. You got Keith Foskey, someone that a lot of people like. Uh, this needs to be refreshed. You got, of course, Stephen Whitlow. He's the main guy there. But Rod Martin, who was a big mover and shaker for a long time in the SBC, Michael Foster. You got John Harris, of course, of YouTube fame. These numbers, these contributors, has gone down quite a bit. Very interesting to me. But they used to have quite a few more people, and now they don't. I wonder why. Mostly because I think like they just didn't have a lot of people. But they are putting on a conference because the TGC attempt did not work. Now they are putting on a conference, and I believe they actually started as a conference, then went to this website thing, and now because that failed, they're going back to having a conference, and somehow they're getting people here. I don't know how, but they're convincing people to come, and they're using names like Megan Basham. They're using names like they did have. Vodi Bakum was supposed to be at this conference. And obviously, he's not going to be able to do it. So instead of having him alongside Doug Wilson there, why not get Doug Wilson's good buddy, Mark Driscoll, to come? And this is maybe the most mind boggling part of this. Look at this clear truth for a confused world. Theologically, this is the most confusing lineup I've ever seen, especially when you consider that Vodi Bakum was supposed to be in this thing. And nope, he gets replaced by Mark Driscoll because obviously that's how you do it, right? Like he's the obvious choice after Vodi is to, just have Mark Driscoll there. But this is what I was talking about months ago about how we have to always be so careful to remind people about the past because the internet is a place where people can delete stuff, people can hide from things, and in general, people tend to forget. And here we have people forgetting about Mark Driscoll, but don't worry about it because we have Jamie Bambrick here who has a YouTube channel and was the editor in chief for Clear Truth. Although I have thoughts about that. I'm no longer EIC for Clear Truth, not directly involved, but remain friends with them all. So I have no vested interest in saying the following. I have precisely zero issue with inviting Pastor Mark to a conference. You can nitpick all you want. Nitpick like actually quoting scripture. He sinned with his language very early in his ministry. In other words, he cussed, and I guess that's thanks a lot, Kevin DeYoung. Like that's always the thing now. People are like, "Oh, cussing is bad," because like that's the main thing. That's not the main thing. Very early in his ministry, something he has readily admitted, and he's done the odd marketing gimmick, which, like using church funds inappropriately. I think that's called embezzling. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, but I'm pretty confident that's what that means. But marketing gimmick. I'm not a huge fan of. Again, back in the day, guys, it was back in the day, so it doesn't matter. None of that strikes me as disqualifying sin. Much more importantly, his family. So here's what it takes. Here's what it takes to be a conference speaker and worth people investing in. Your family are saved. His theology has stayed strong. I don't know. Like, what is that? He got on the whole map from being a part of the Young Restless Reform movement. And then he went on a podcast and said that Calvinists are like the worst and they all have daddy issues and that he doesn't believe in Calvinism at all. So like that's if that's staying strong on your theology, like I don't like how is this guy an editor in chief? But he's never had an affair. He didn't cheat on his wife, guys, so it's okay. Or embezzled money. Although, what about that marketing gimmick? He's a great Bible teacher. Guys, if you're a great conversationalist, if you can go and sit in a chair and have people laughing, it makes you a good Bible teacher. Doesn't matter if you live it out or not. The big pieces are all in place. How is he supposed to be perma banned from ever speaking at a conference again? Well, maybe because there are scripture verses that actually talk about whether someone is qualified. Maybe that is part of it. But here we are in the year of our Lord 2025, where all of a sudden everyone is able to be, back on the board. It doesn't matter what they've done. It doesn't matter that Joel Webbin took advantage of a congregant. It doesn't matter that Mark Driscoll literally left an entire city of Christians in heartache. It doesn't matter. Why? Because politics. That's all it is. It's politics. It's not about theology. It's about politics and whether you can get people in the door. And that's what they really care about. To like that's all Mark cares about too. Um, I haven't been streaming in a very long time. Things are not working the way they're supposed to. Let's take a look over here. All right, Mark Driscoll, he keeps growing. Like if you're like, oh, it's just like a little conference, it's not a big deal. This is his YouTube. This is a website called Social Blade where you can kind of look up and see, how people are doing. Let me put this. This is good. Well, this. All right. Let me come over here. I gotta mess around with something. Working with multiple screens is sometimes confusing with this software. All right. Let me show you what it looks like for him. All right. You see this line here? You see this line going up at the very end? That sharp increase that has been since Charlie Kirk died. That that is the exact moment that he went. I think it was from 10,000. Yeah, 10,000 subscribers gaining that. Look at this 33. And it's just look at that line going straight up. That's what you want when it comes to stocks. It's what you want for analytics. So Mark Driscoll is all about. To the point where now, if you go and you look at his YouTube and you see what he's trying to do, you can see what I'm into. All right. If you look at his website, or at his YouTube, what is he doing? The Mark Driscoll Show. That's what he's doing. He is trying to get his own show. Now, I do want to point out, like I said, this is about since, man, this thing really is struggling. Let me go here. Let me go here. I got to refresh it again just so I can move it around. Oh my goodness. Ecamm. It's not a stream without, some hiccups, I guess. But you can see, all right, the Mark Driscoll Show he started. Well, look, the first thing, Charlie Kirk. Second thing, Charlie Kirk. Third thing, not Charlie Kirk. Numbers are down. Next video, Charlie Kirk. Next video. I mean, we're talking about months after his passing. All right, months after his passing, Charlie Kirk speaks to Candace from the grave. What? That's nuts, and he knows it, but people will click, and the numbers prove it. 28,000. So for him, he just looks at what he's doing, sees a decrease. Oh no, the red alarms are going off. What does he need to do? Talk about Charlie Kirk. He is using a man who was murdered to further his platform. This man has no shame. This man has no integrity. He has this thing about real men, real Christians, real faith. There's nothing real about the guy. He will lie, he will twist things, he will turn on everything. Again, with that Calvinist thing, all right, this idea that, Calvinists, they have daddy issues, even though a year ago he was the one who was talking about Calvinism, like literally the year before. And like he's like, oh no, I never really was into it. He's a liar. He's a wolf. And he's now seeing that there is a tidal wave of anger and hate and hostility because people naturally are upset about the Kirk situation and everything that happened. So he is using that to further his platform. Now, will he be on, what is it, TP USA? I don't know. Will he be on Daily Wire? I don't know. But he's gunning for one of those kinds of shows. Maybe he wants to build it himself so he could own it, just like the church building that he says is for his congregation. Like that's what he's about. Now, these people are allowing him back in. And I think it proves just like what they're really about. Let's talk about Mike Winger for a sec. I've got a whole list. I've got a whole list of things that we need to discuss. I think that we need to discuss, and one of them is the Mike Winger situation because there are different spectrums of this thing. There are the people who are using the Kirk murder to further their agendas. And then there's the people who, because, there's so much confusion, there's so much speculation, there's so much worry and fear, and then, yes, hate. But because they're so scared, they're now thinking, oh, maybe I was wrong about how I do politics. Mike Winger is one of them. Now, I've talked about him before. I've said like, whatever. If you like those Bible studies where someone's like, you know, I did 965 hours of research to come to the same conclusion that pretty much every evangelical has ever thought. Okay, you could like that kind of stuff. I think it's pretty vanilla. I think it's pretty basic, some of his Bible studies and stuff, but, basic in a way that I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying like it's very low tier. But if you like it, then you like it, and you like the guy. And I'm on the platform where his platform is huge, so I realize that there are probably plenty of people who are like, I don't know about you, but I like that guy better, and that's fine. You could like that guy better. That's absolutely fine. But this guy is now diving into politics because he concluded that Charlie Kirk was a martyr even though he didn't know anything about Charlie Kirk. But again, I did 424 hours of research, and so now I'm an expert on whatever I just said. Like that. That's what he does. And so he didn't know who Charlie Kirk was. Then he does the research, comes to the conclusion, like I think actually like the next day. So it wasn't like 424 hours or whatever. He does like it's a YouTube thing of exaggeration. But he didn't do that much research. But he came to the conclusion that Charlie Kirk was a martyr. And because of that, that has changed his mind on politics. Now you're starting to hear the same kind of stuff from a guy like Mike Winger, who is a charismatic, who is not a Calvinist, who doesn't fit into the Reformed world like at all. But all of a sudden, his politics, he's starting to sound quite a bit like someone like Doug Wilson, someone like Joel Webbin. He's starting to sound like a Christian nationalist. And he's saying things like at a conference in a video that he put out called Our Hostile Culture. He said, I would rather stumble forward and mess up a little along the way and try to change the world politically. That's the context, the politics, than to just sit back and be like, I hope someone asks me a good question today. Well, evangelism is about questions because evangelism cannot be forced. You cannot force someone to believe anything. You can force them to say the words you want them to say, but you cannot force them to believe it in their heart. You just can't. Now they are going to argue, well, you could put things around the right, you know, the right guardrails around so that they, eventually do end up at this conclusion. All right, that's never happened throughout all of human history in a way that actually works, and through Christian history, especially, it's been tried several times, and it's always been awful. But they want to try to do that, and he is getting more political, and he's saying things like, again in this video, in quoting, saying that someone will say, you're trying to force your values on people and you can be like, so he tells the people, you could be like, you could respond to this person. Yes, I am. Everyone is trying to force values. I'm trying to force good values. And he says then something like, based off of God and truth, and you're trying to force bad values, not based off of God and truth. But the way that Western civilization has always worked is that you are assuming that, yes, obviously you believe you're right, but you are believing you are right, and they're also believing they are right. So what are you going to do about it? You can say, I can agree to disagree, because that's what belief is. It's you believing. It's not you being forced to believe, but what he's trying to do is to force his religion on other people. And they are talking about this not in some way of like, oh, well, just be aggressive about sharing your faith. They're talking about politics attached to it. It's the political world. This isn't just, oh, I want you to be courageous as an evangelist in your school, kid. Or I want you to be, talking, to your neighbors. That's what he says is like the bad thing. This whole thing of, he would rather stumble forward. So basically, make mistakes in politics, trying to force people with religion. He would rather do that than just sit back and be like, I hope someone asks me a good question someday. Or I don't know, maybe you could pray to God that someone will come to you with a question. I don't know. I thought evangelism was about like giving the hope, giving an answer for the hope that is in you. I don't know. Maybe was that Bible? Oh, yeah, it was, because that's what we're supposed to be about. But these people, it's not enough now, because once again, going off this idea that Kirk is a martyr and this tidal wave of anger and fear is coming over all of North America, it seems that they are now in this mode of just, we have to win. We have to win. We have to win people. And we have to put these things in place so that we're not the ones who are screwed over. That's what they really are about. They don't want to be the ones shot, right? They don't want to be the ones who are at the mercy of another group. Well, what does that sound like? That sounds like a lot of nations on the other side of the world. That doesn't sound like North America. That definitely doesn't sound like the United States. But here we are, where even someone as vanilla as Mike Winger is now being like, hey, I think Christian nationalism maybe sounds pretty good right now. And I did 4 hours of research. So we're going to go with it. I want to force my religion on others because it's based off of truth. Everyone thinks their religion is based off of truth. Why would they believe it if they didn't think it was based off of truth? So, from their perspective, once again, you're persecuting them. And again, you're going against the what Jesus told us to be about. Blessed are the peacemakers, not blessed are the ones who get them first. Get them first before they get us. All it is more fear mongering. All it is more just cowardice. And just like, isn't the gospel enough? Like, even if you think about it, all right, maybe you do want people to live in accordance with a lot of what people call the law. All right, maybe you want that for them. What is the best way to get someone to follow the law, to live a good and holy life? It ain't to like write it down. The Israelites had that. A lot of them didn't do it. Right? The best way to do it is to have them actually believe. So maybe just spread the gospel a lot, and you would see even some of the political change that you actually say you want and say that that's really what it's about, but you're actually about something else, I think. I think these people are more about, I want to be in control. The Christian nationalist is really what it's about. They want to be in control, and it looks like they're willing to do whatever it takes to see that happen in a way that I thought was crazy, crazy. Like two to 3 years ago, I would have said you're nuts. But here we are, all this time later, and it's happening with Mike Winger, the most basic Christian YouTuber out there. Oh man, I don't know. It's crazy. So he's also in the uh, Christian nationalist camp, it seems. Let's go here, and I can switch it here. All right, now let's talk about this whole thing. And I need to come back over here. Oh my goodness, so many screens. Let me go here, and I have to make this small, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay. All right. Am I a Christian nationalist? From Virgil Walker. This was like there have been plenty of things that have been scary that I've seen over the last couple weeks, last couple months, I guess. This has been frustrating and just angering. Like, all right, am I a Christian nationalist? It's a question I've been asked more than once. I wonder why. And once again, this thing. All right, you gonna work? Why did you get big? That's not the way this is supposed to work. Why are you being this way, huh? How about you just stay over there on your side? All right, do not cross this line. All right, you stay there, and we can be good. All right, before I answer the question in the title, we need to talk about what the term actually means. Oh, boring, boring, boring. Blah, 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 blah. Here's what he actually wants to say. That's the problem. We're arguing over a label that never meant one thing to begin with. The term has become a fog bank. Everyone sees what they want to see in it. And behind that fog are several distinct movements, each convinced they found the way forward. All right. So what is he really doing? Here's people I like in Christian nationalist circles. Doug Wilson, the architect, also the heretic. He's he is a heretic, but no one seems to care. Before anyone used the phrase Christian nationalism, Doug Wilson had already built the blueprint. For decades, he has preached, written, published about Christendom, not the gospel, but Christendom, a vision for Christian culture that encompasses education, worship, family, and law. Whether you agree with him or not, he is the gravitational center of this conversation. Blah, 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 blah. I like this guy. Still, Wilson's imprint on this entire conversation is undeniable. Whether one calls it Christendom, Christian nationalism, or something else entirely, most of the new movements have borrowed, consciously or not, from the architecture he has been sketching for decades. Um, kinda, kinda. Stephen Wolfe, the philosopher. Stephen Wolfe's case for Christian nationalism gave the idea academic structure. Barely. Just like flat out barely. His version is intellectual and system building, but light on theology, anchored more in natural law and pre Reformation political theory than in the redemptive storyline of Scripture. All right, so he has a little bit of criticism there. No one asked him to do this. We didn't. What are your thoughts? The question was, are you a Christian nationalist? Which he goes like, it doesn't mean a whole lot. Here's a whole bunch of people I like though. And then he just decided, that guy that is literally making videos about how he hates Jews all the time, or how he questions a lot of stuff that comes with certain ethnicities, like that guy who also, did that thing to his congregant that in some states is illegal. That guy, what do you think about that guy? Well, Joel Webben is the movement builder. Some will say my critique here is too soft. No freaking crap. Like what? Uh, Given some of the things Webben says that trigger people, and the things that he does and the way that he is. Maybe a lot more than just triggering. Personally, I think he's the master of movement. He's a master. Sometimes I think, like in my head, I don't know where your guys' head goes, but in my head, he's doing yoga now. Like he's the master of movement. Like he's doing hot yoga somewhere. I don't know. Uh, but sometimes that's good. Other times I'll leave that for you to decide because I'm not willing to compromise your viewership. Like that's what that is. But we'll get into the coward thing here in a minute. I think it might be pointed at someone. Just saying. To the surprise of some, I've had more than a few direct conversation with Joel. Yeah, we know. All right. I told you. Like, I told you years ago, G3 was involved with these people. Now, where I went wrong was thinking that it was Josh Bice, but it wasn't. It's become abundantly clear. Josh Bice was trying to get these guys out of like their sphere. He wanted them out. Virgil Walker, the VP of G3, wanted them all the way in. And Scott Aniol was like, "Can we get the fundies?" Like, I like talking about worship and mostly hymns, so can we get the fundamentalists? Kevin Bowder, want to come over here and hang out with us? That's what he was about. But Virgil Walker was the one who was doing this. Now, obviously, on this channel, some people will know I have some beef with Verge because he has hopped into the chat many times. He sent me messages several times. Um, you know, not anything super mean, but definitely condescending. And kind of saying, like, oh, you don't know, G3 isn't like this. And then he comes out with this. And it's just like, you liar. You lied. You said you weren't about these things. And here you are making blogs later saying like you are. What is that? And all the while saying that he loves this show and that he finds me so funny and blah blah blah. What he proved is that he is a content junkie. He is addicted to content and he watches everything, and including Right Response Ministries. That's what that means. So given some of the things Webben says that trigger people, personally, I think he's a master movement. Sometimes it's good. Other times I'll leave that for you to decide. To the surprise of some, I've had more than a few direct conversations with Joel. He's approachable, even when the conversation gets tough. Okay. Don't know what that means. There are times I shake my head at his choices, and I'm sure he's done the same with mine. But that's the part of brotherhood. So you can be brothers with a racist, with someone who should not be in ministry. Just like it's not even about like politics and stuff like that. It's just morality, simple morality. He should not be in ministry. He was never qualified to be in ministry. He has changed his theology over and over and over again. And like he shouldn't be in ministry. It's so clear, but to these people, it's not that clear. And is it going to get big again? What is with this? Okay. All right. Let me go over here. Are you're gonna follow me, mouse? Okay. Um, okay. So through Right Response Ministries, um, he's calling families, pastors, and churches to recover courage and conviction. His message is bold, direct, unapologetically post millennial. You may not always agree with his tone, but it's hard to miss his sincerity. Oh, you mean like his, fake voice that he puts on, this accent that he has? That's sincere? You mean the people that have messaged me saying that they know him and he is like not anything like what he's put in videos? You mean like stuff like that? No, of course not. But what is this? This is Virgil Walker trying to get people to pay attention to him. This is him just saying, like, hey, Christian nationalists, I might not use the title myself, but I love all the same guys you love. Come pay attention to my Substack. Don't pay attention to anyone's Substack. Someone sent me this, by the way. Brian Sauvé and the Ogden Movement. Travel west to Ogden, Utah. Do I have to? Uh, you'll find another expression altogether. Refuge Church, led by Brian Sauvé, along with men like Eric Kahn and Dan Burkholder, is shaping what some call Christendom 2.0. What some, meaning only them, call Christendom 2.0. They're working to recover what? A thick, beautiful Christian culture. That's the weirdest way to describe that. Well, okay. Yeah, well, he's a writer. Support his Substack, guys. Christian culture through psalm singing, liturgical depth, and the building of new instructions, along with their videos about aliens and Nephilim and the mermaid stuff. Don't forget the mermaids. I've been in brief contact with these men and hope to engage more deeply in the days ahead. Yeah, I bet you do. I know they've faced criticisms, especially over rhetoric on ethnicity. Yeah. The truth is, I've said stronger things about black culture than they have. I mean, is that's on you? Like that's like saying, I know these guys have said bad things, but I've said worse is not a great argument for paying attention to those people. But okay. Than they have. Still, in our current climate, words are often judged as much by who says them as what is said. I mean, kind of, but isn't that part of just, giving a message? As white pastors in a mostly homogenous city, they don't always get the benefit of the doubt. That's not a criticism, just an observation. Guys, there are weeks that probably the guys in Ogden go between seeing a black person. So the idea of can a like them even asking, can a black person be a member of their church? All right, well, like maybe befriend one first, but if you can find them in Ogden. But all right, too much maybe. But you just look and he's just talking about this person, this person. Of course, you see up there Charlie Kirk. That's what these people are really doing. They're just wanting to talk about all these people, and then at the end, even though this thing has stopped working again, I don't know. It's not my computer. I have a new Mac, by the way. I don't know why it's not working. Here's what he says. My goal in writing this isn't to misrepresent anyone. Each of the men I've mentioned is sincere in his effort to bring the lordship of Christ to bear on public life. They differ in tone, strategy, and emphasis, but they all share a desire to see righteousness restored in a culture that's lost its moral compass. I've done my best to present them accurately and fairly. I've spoken with some of these men, read their work, and observed their ministries firsthand. Where I offer critique, it's not to diminish, but to discern, to separate what's biblical from what's reactionary, what's timeless from what's merely trending. Because if we can't speak truthfully about one another inside the church, we'll never speak convincingly to the world outside of it. So, is he a Christian nationalist? Eh. He says, so am I a Christian nationalist? No, I'm a Christian, and that's enough. But I just like every Christian nationalist. Like, I promote every single Christian nationalist and I go to their conferences and I speak at the conferences, but I'm not one. But also MAGA for life. Like what? You see them in hats and stuff. It's just okay. That you might not want to use the title because you don't want the baggage of it, but you definitely want their audience. And that's really what he's trying to do. Now, I will just kind of point out this one. I don't need to go full into it because it's not as important. But I find it interesting. Let the cowards rage. This was after I came back and I said a little thing about Virgil Walker's stuff and how I want to talk about it. And then he immediately posts this. Very interesting. Let the cowards rage. The death of manhood in the digital church. Every generation has its cowards. Ours just learned to hide behind Wi Fi. They roar from their platforms, but wilt in person. They call it discernment. They call it dis. I call it dishonesty dressed in doctrine. I've watched this pattern for years. Yes, because you watch every single YouTube channel. It seems. But the same men who shout the loudest about courage are the first to run from a real conversation. They'll dissect a brother's life or ministry for clicks, but never lift a phone call to him. I don't want to. I feel this is very personal. Like, I feel maybe I broke Verge's heart. I don't know. They'll mistake visibility for virtue and confusion for conviction, and the church, mainly their fans, applauding it as courage. So the age of keyboard courage. He typed into a keyboard. Uh, but the dragon of cowardice, the coward's platform. Let's go down and read a little bit of this. The coward's platform, or the coward's pulpit, doesn't stand on truth, it stands on traffic. It thrives on outrage because outrage pays. I've grown tired of these so called discernment ministries that build nothing. They don't plant churches, they don't disciple men, they don't reach the lost. How would you know? How would you know that? They speculate the labor of others, dissecting sermons and ministries from the cheap seats, hoping for clicks. They've mistaken criticism for contribution and confusion for conviction. They wrap gossip in the language of discernment and call it ministry. I didn't, I called it a hobby. But they baptize slander in the waters of accountability. They mistake attacking people for defending doctrine. Let the cowards rage, they'll have their reward, but we'll have our work and our peace, he said to the Christian nationalists they just gained their audience from. Okay. A couple things I want to say about just this one. Obviously, I do think that this might be pointed in my direction because apparently he really liked the channel until I started talking about G3. But I will just say this. How do you think anyone knows your name? Like, you want to talk about, oh, you criticize. How does anyone know, like those people, like the G3 types, the people outside of the young restless reform movement, like the people who have descended from them, if you will? How does anyone know their names? Because they went at the prosperity gospel. That's how anyone knows their names. Like, they went and they criticized something else. There are very few people in the Christian world that get on the map for preaching the Bible. Some that come to mind. John MacArthur. Whether you like him or dislike him, obviously he had some stuff going on, but the reason why his name is because of his Bible teaching. All right. He didn't have to talk about individuals. He could talk about movements, but he didn't talk about individuals. Someone like that, John Piper. These would have been names, Tim Keller. These would have been names that anyone would just know because of the quality of their teaching. All right. People will know their names. I would even put in, now he did a lot of other stuff, but Voddie Baucham. When he preached the gospel, it was good stuff. There's just other things that were attached. But like those kinds of people, not anyone at G3. All right, not anyone who is descended from that. Not the Christian nationalists for sure. Like no one knows Doug Wilson for his preaching on the gospel. They know him for lighting some couch on fire in a field in Idaho. Like that's what they know. That's what they know him for. That's why people know Virgil Walker. They know him for his politics. That's why, like the just thinking thing. What do? They criticize people. Like this, you can say that you're not a discernment ministry and you're building something, but you're building it on the criticism of others too. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying like that is the fact of the matter. Now, it's whether those criticisms are accurate. Years ago, I talked about G3 and they're linking with Christian nationalists like Doug Wilson, that they were really chummy with people like Joel Webbon. And it wasn't long before there was some kind of merger. Well, things didn't really pan out because Josh Buice took to a keyboard and did things, and then he got outed, and now G3 is, I think, a fundy institution. I don't really understand it. But now Virgil is going and doing a thing with Redeemer, which also has me like, is Redeemer okay with like this kind of stuff? Like this, like I wouldn't have thought that Costi Hinn, like obviously he's not at that church, but he was planted out of that church. I wouldn't have thought that Costi Hinn and his pastor would be okay in the same way with this kind of stuff. But that's troubling. But that's what's going on. So like you can say, oh, they're the cowards for buildings, they're not building things. You never know what someone's doing. Just because they don't like something you said, but you can't just be like, you're a coward now. You can say someone is a liar when they say one thing and then they do another. All right. Or they say, oh, this is what I'm like, and then they're not like that. Like Joel Webbon. But yeah. All right, we're going to take a little bit of a break. I've got a few more things on my list that I want to talk about. We're going to talk about the Ortland thing. And then we're going to talk about Truman's article, the Gig Eva thing, which is great, by the way. But I'm going to put on a timer. I will be back in a little bit. Anything happen? Anything happen while I was gone? Oh wait, it's a microphone. There we go. You guys having a good time? Listen to me rant about things and all that. Things in the background. I think that kid hit the Lego stuff back there. Yeah. It's wow. All right. Let's keep on going, eh? But let's talk to some people first. Let's go up and say hi to what? Aaron and I celebrated 12 years married by playing mini golf. That's awesome. That's so cool. Mini golf is fun. Having dates is fun, man. We got all three kids in school now, so some days that we don't have anyone around the house and like we're both free. We went on a date yesterday in the middle of the day. It was so fun. Didn't have to get a babysitter or anything. What's something that's new in your life since last we met on Underdogs? I hope you guys have something new because I don't. The same old stuff. I got estimates. I got new estimates on on things I got to fix in the basement that I am not allowed to fix. Apparently, we got some major stuff we got to do. Um, what's the word? The bird is the word. That's what I heard. My youngest started pre-K, so all four of my kids are in school. Right? Isn't that cool? The parsonage we live in is getting remodeled, so we moved into a rental. So it's been crazy. Oh my goodness. Like I thought it would be like fun and relaxing, and then you're like, and we had to move everything. So that's great. You're digging the music. Sweet, 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 sweet. I'm gonna find some new jams. It's all royalty free stuff, so it's hard to find like really good ones, but I think I could find some. I'm noticing you're hatless. I'm never really hatless. So Sam's, I'm never hatless. There's always a hat. Unfortunately, my wife tells me because there's hats everywhere. So it's like, whatever. It's hot. Like I want the hoodie because I like wearing a hoodie. If you catch me at my home when I'm relaxing, I'm wearing a hoodie. But I was doing a lot with the diabetes stuff. So before and after, like during the break and before the show. So I was running all over. What's up, dude? So very happy to see you. So happy to see you too, man. Let's see. Nice date in the middle of the date might be time for a new lenti. Whoa, 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 whoa! No, can't handle that, man. Like we got enough. We got enough. There's enough joy in our home. That's how I'll put it. But also chaos. Does anyone know what is happening to Grace Community? They don't have a permanent pastor. Alistair Begg spoke. I think they're probably going through the same thing as so many others, just trying, when a pastor dies or, retires, moves on to a different ministry, you got to find a new guy. I will say, what's going on with Austin Duncan? I have no idea what's going on with Austin Duncan, but apparently he's gone. That seems weird. What happened there? It's one of those things. It's like same thing with Sam Horn. Like they're so shady about how they deal with stuff. Even simple things like John MacArthur's health at the beginning. Like they just like didn't tell anyone about anything. And it's just like there's no reason for you to be this suspicious about stuff. Like, just say what happened. There doesn't need to be a story. And then they're like, how dare you think about these things, you gossip? It's like, if he just said what was going on, like, no one would even care. But, happy belated Canadian Thanksgiving. Sweet. Thank you. Thank you. I had turkey. I had my potatoes. I made my volcano out of tomatoes, potatoes. I don't know. Tonight's drink. There we go. Oh, got to cover my face. I forgot. It's been a long time. There we go. So good. Okay. What else are we talking about? Oh, I wanted to just touch on, I don't feel like I need to talk too much more about this. I want to get into like just hanging out with you guys for a little bit. Basically have until about 9:10. I'm thinking 9:10 will probably be enough. Um, but yeah. Is it more peaceful in Canada? 100%. But it is getting more riled up. People who I personally know and I thought we're friends and I thought we are on the same page about a lot of stuff over in Alberta, making some weird coalitions and nonprofits and like trying to be like, yeah, Christian nationalism all of a sudden. So who knows, man? Like it's not just the states dealing with some of this stuff now, I guess. But yeah, all right. Let's talk about John Harris and Chase Davis. You might have heard, maybe you saw it on X. You saw, do I have it? Do I even want to try to do it? I'm getting very frustrated with this whole setup that I have. I've been frustrated many times over and over with it, but today is just like, I don't know, like everything isn't working and it's like shouldn't be. But, anyways, I won't be able to show you, I don't think. But some people are mad about Gavin Ortland. I think mostly because he's an Ortland, and they're just always mad at Ortlands. It's like the Hatfields and McCoys. It's the Christian nationalists and the Ortlands. Apparently, I don't know why. They just picked that family, and they're just like, let's get them, get them, get them. That's what they want to do. So Gavin Ortland made a video about Tim Keller in this third wayism, and basically he's like, "Hey, you know what? We need to be about the gospel, not just about politics. But sometimes, we can get involved in politics. But basically, just saying like Christian nationalism is a big no-no, and Tim Keller said so. And so he made that video, and John Harris is like." This one time 4 years ago, like, or I don't know how many years ago, but this one time, Gavin Ortland, I guess, was recommending books, and he recommended a biography about Barack Hussein Obama. And apparently that means he's a terrible person and shouldn't be allowed on YouTube and should be kicked out of any ministry ever. And whoever publishes him is the worst because he read a biography about Barack Obama. Here's the deal. This is the kind of silliness that we're going to see from Christian nationalists. Like there is no pleasing these people. Like I feel like we're going to have to just draw lines and separate, like fundy style. Like it shouldn't have to be this way, but I feel like we're going to have to just like close the door on these guys because it doesn't matter. They will find something to be angry at you about over your Christian freedom. Guys, whether you are in the United States or not, you are allowed to like a person that you disagree with. It's crazy, right? What a shocking thing. Apparently these guys have done it with me. They've said, I don't know how, they've said that they like me, even though I talk about how wrong they are. But they send me messages sometimes saying we like you, so they can do it. But you can't. You can't. And Gavin Ortland apparently can't. And now, because this is the way these people work online. We'll get into the gig Eva thing here in a bit, but because like, have you ever noticed that the main way that these people are known is from their X account? That's weird, and every single one of them has a legion of anonymous accounts that follow them. And whenever they say, hey, this guy did something, then they go to that person's account and just flood their replies with all kinds of hate and negativity and just flat out like harassment. I've been the victim of this several times. Some of you guys, I remember, think, I think it was Heidi that had it happen to her. It is that time of year, no quarter November coming up, and you've probably had, interactions with the Moscow army. and they're all anonymous trolls. Most of them probably in their mom's basement. I'm, it's, I'm usually in my basement, but again, it's my house, so it's okay. I could be a basement dweller as long as it's not my mom's house. But they do that, and they go at people, and they're just like vile and hateful, and they went at Gavin Ortland all because of this. And to me, it's just a line in the sand saying these people will never be satisfied. There's nothing you could do. These Christian nationalists, like, there's no pleasing them. There's nothing, like, they will find something. A book you recommended about a guy that you are supposed to be politically against. And I think Gavin even said that. Like, again, I don't love everything Gavin Ortland puts out, but he's a smart guy, and he usually has a lot of, just nuances and different, you know, little things that he says to, be careful about what he's doing. He doesn't foolishly just say, like, I love this guy and everything he's ever said and done. Like, it's not like that, unlike some people. But he was like, hey, like, I don't have to agree with him about everything, but I really respect him as a husband and father, and just as a leader, and like things like that. And apparently that was the worst thing he could have possibly ever said. And people went at him. And to me, it just means, like, for us, like, if you have a Christian nationalist in your life, be prepared for them not to be, because these people are getting so extreme that they're going to find something that they don't like about you, and they're going to, like, make it like the biggest deal in the world, and you're going to be in a world of hurt if you're, like, actually trying to keep that relationship going, because these people are getting not just, like, angry and using fear tactics and all that stuff that we talked about earlier, but they're also getting really silly about things and blowing things way out of proportion. Sometimes, at least on the online world, trying to, like, build, some following or get people to pay attention to them. Sometimes it's like that, but even in the real world, some of these people are getting ridiculous about, like, how much in agreement you have to be, and where you have to stand on these things, and who you like and who you dislike. We're all disliking Barack Obama. Here's the deal: I have personally always liked Barack Obama as a person. As a person, he's a good man. Now, what a lot of these people will say is, well, but he's for abortion. He's for abortion. How can he be a good man and for abortion? The thing about that issue is you actually have to reason with someone. Like, these people who are on the other side of that issue. Now, for me, I mean, like, I wore a Ronald Reagan shirt about, like, abortion way back in the day. About how, what is it? I forget. It was some famous quote that he gave about abortion, and just, like, I would wear it all the time. Like, I haven't changed my view on it. Like, I'm still that guy. But to think, like, that these people on the other side are, like, they're like looking in windows, like the freaking Siamese cats in Lady and the Tramp going after the baby. like like they're just, like, looking in windows trying to find one so they could take it off to a clinic, like, as soon as they're born. Like, that's not what these people are. That's not how they think about this. They think about it and they see that that thing in their mind isn't a human being. Now, obviously, I think they're wrong. And I think that there are serious consequences for them being wrong. But I can understand that that's where their mind leaps to, that it is not that way. We have a fundamental difference on when life occurs. And I thought that's what the debate used to be about. We used to debate, when is it a human being? When is it? Is it at conception? Is it at another point? And we would have debates about that. But now it's just, are you for or against? And that means you're the worst person ever, and I can't talk to you. And also, you might be the enemy when things, start getting riled up. Like, that's where we're at. Instead of having a conversation about how I think you're dead wrong about life not starting at conception. And I can be strong about that, and I can have a conversation about that, but I don't think you're a murderer. I don't think like I don't think that you should be thrown in prison. I think that we need to have a real conversation about these things. And apparently that's the worst. And even if someone saw this and if anyone cared about me and like what I'm doing, they would be like, time to clip this thing out. Like that's where they're at with this. But that's what we used to be about when it came into the political world as Christians. That's how we used to debate these things. But now it's not. We don't debate anymore. You saw it in the last several elections where you just don't debate anymore. It's not debate. It's I could yell louder. I have the best words. Like that. That's where we're at. So like we could have those debates and talk about that, but these people they don't care, and so they just look at someone. And it doesn't matter what it is about the rest of their life. They go, that man is like evil because of this issue. And then they look at other political figures, including the president of the United States right now, and they say, no, he's good because this is where he stands on this one issue. And they forget, what he said on the Entertainment Tonight bus. You could, when you're a star, you could just grab him. That should have ended his career. 20 years ago, it definitely would. But these people don't actually care about morals because they don't care about it when it's their guy. As long as it's, he can push the ball forward on the topics that they want. Like they will excuse all the morality on their side with their guy because, Obama was, he was for those things. So it's disturbing, another disturbing thing. But so they're going at him. Let's see if this thing is going to work. I want to look at this article. I think it might be one of the better ones written in a while. The way I saw it was Taylor shared it, and people were going at him about it. And honestly, I think Taylor probably that guy is jaded. Okay, but like he's one of the TGC guys, and it's very clear that he's mad that people aren't paying attention to them as much as they used to. But here's Carl Trueman, who has written some good stuff in the past about these kinds of issues. Let me see if this thing will do what I want. Can we do this quickly? Is this going to mess up everything? I don't know. All right, here we go. Many years ago, huh, 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 huh. Many years ago, I coined the term Big Eva. While today the term is used as a quick and lazy smear, the only guy who will criticize his own work, other than me, I used it, and now everyone is lazy for using it. But for any well known figures of a previous generation that a particular X Men happens to dislike, at the time I intended it to be a humorous but pointed reference to a specific phenomenon. The rise of big conference platforms and the promotion of certain speakers, which I called celebrity pastors. Everyone called them that. Like you might have coined Big Eva, but not. Uh, I said it. But okay. That supplanted or subverted the role of local congregations, ministers, and denominations in shaping church policy. By celebrating or by celebrity pastors, I did not mean those church leaders who has happened to be well known. I meant those who consciously leverage their public platforms to exert influence um, beyond their church, thereby weakening it. These were not simply podcasters or bloggers or op-ed writers, although some were. They were key players in large parachurch organizations that sought to operate as denominations, but without the typical accountability that denominations are, in theory at least, supposed to involve. At the height of Big Eva's influence, I once asked a class of students who was the most influential pastor in their lives. Almost none mentioned his or her actual minister, defaulting instead to naming the headline acts as at the big evangelical conferences, QED. He has written that I don't know how many times. I haven't read all that much of his stuff, but I've heard him say that a bunch. And I got to refresh this again, which then means I'm going to have to drag it over here again. I'm telling you guys. Okay. The era of Big Eva seems to have run its course. The conservative Protestant scene in the US is no longer dominated by a few big name celebrities or by a handful of large conferences. While those large conferences still exist and are often well attended, kind of. Like, come on. Let's be honest. They do not grip the popular evangelical imagination as they once did. Yes. They seem, on the whole, to have settled into the role that they should have always held: optional supplements to local church life for Christians who are committed to their own congregations, but who enjoy connecting to others from elsewhere and hearing preachers from a variety of denominations. But the problem at the heart of Big Eva have not disappeared. They have migrated into new forms, particularly that of social media. The broader business dynamics in the US are now sometimes referred to as creating the gig economy. And he talks about, the whole idea about online stuff, and it's all about that. There are some obvious differences between the big and gig. Even in the world of Big Eva, the headline acts were generally men and women who had first established their reputations through services of local churches or talented writing for established publishers. They had a certain authority that predated their rise to Big Eva influence. That is so true. Like, I've talked about that a whole ton on the channel for the last few years. Like, it used to be, like someone had, like, they had credentials. Like, a lot of these people went to school. A lot of them have at least master's degrees. Sometimes they had doctorates, and that's like how you knew them. And then they had long-standing careers that people could reflect on and go and find years and years and years of their Bible studies and sermons and books. And now it's not like that at all. In Gig Eva, anyone with the time to spend living online can become a celebrity without having proved himself beforehand in any real service to any church. But there are also similarities, such as in the matter of accountability. Big Eva gurus were accountable only to each other. I would push back on that. They do have, like, a lot of them were parts of churches, like you just said, so they were accountable to their churches. But Big Eva gurus were accountable only to each other. Their heirs in Gig Eva are accountable to nobody. And that, I would say, is pretty accurate. Not just because I don't like them, but because their churches, like, you could see they don't hold them accountable, because you could see what they post online, and they continue to post online, and they continue to hold their positions. So unlike Big Eva, where some of these guys, they actually did have accountability. Now, I'm not saying it was perfect. Obviously, there were some huge issues, and people would let things slide for way too long. But we saw some of them get taken out because of, things going on in their own life or in their church. And they would get kicked out of some of these things and moved on from other conferences and stuff like that. And these people, like in the Gig Eva that he's talking about, they just continue. They just continue to keep on going. They like, so there isn't accountability. To put it another way, both tend to marginalize the actual church by making their own platforms and declarations the source of all wisdom. But Gig Eva has only intensified the problem that led me to coin the term Big Eva. There is further similarity. Both are shaped by the economy of their chosen media. In the world of big venue conferences, headline names are critical to sell tickets. That led Big Eva at times to be undiscerning about who was welcome on stage, like Driscoll. I remember asking one Big Eva boss if he thought a couple of his headline acts were men who offered godly models of what a pastor should be. He said no, then did nothing. I think he was talking about D.A. Carson, maybe. Both men imploded in public scandal sometime later. And only then did they exit the conference stage. Also not. The economics of social media are different, and this is reflected in the culture of Gig Eva. Building a platform on X, for example, involves constant transgression of boundaries. Hence, the emergence of Gig Eva personalities who trademark behavior ranges from attacking the leaders of Big Eva to rehabilitating Hitler. And Gig Eva also has the advantage of the frictionless nature of technologically mediated engagement. Big Eva silenced critics by ignoring them or making quiet phone calls to employers. Yeah. Gig Eva launches full frontal personal attacks, but does so from the safety offered by tech platforms and have no place for that pesky prerequisite of personal competence. Indeed, X is proving to be the perfect platform for those aspiring to be the modern successors to Middlemarch's Will Ladislaw, who was not at all deep himself in German writers, but very little achievement is required in order to pity another man's shortcomings. Um, Obviously, he's looking down on these people and being like, "You don't know crap," but also maybe they don't. So like, there is that. But I think he has like, I mean, this is what I've been saying for years. I'm not that eloquent and couldn't put it in that kind of a paragraph, but that's true. Like, we talked about followers go further, and then sometimes those followers influence these people and they make them go more extreme to try to like please that audience more, try to give them what they want, try to keep them, try to grow their audience with the same kinds of people. And so you see them get more vicious because their followers are vicious, or because the platforms that they're using. Like, here's the deal. So I made an X account so I could watch NBA stuff and follow movies. I didn't follow anyone except for sports and movie stuff. All right. No one else, not in the Christian world, nothing in the political world, only sports, only movies. And you know what I got in the For You section? So much about politics, so much about division and hate and anger. And it was all focused on that. I hadn't liked a single thing. That tells you that X is all about that. And like, some of you guys are like, yeah, that's the most obvious thing to say in the world. But that is also true for these Christian leaders. Like, that's the thing. All these guys, all these Christian nationalists are big on X. Why do you think that's true? Like, why isn't it that they're just not like, oh, they're YouTubers, or oh, they're, some kind of blogger, or they write a blog. What did Winston want me to say about blogs? I don't know. They write they blog. They write blog posts. However, whichever way you wanted me to say it, Winston, that's the way I said it, right? Okay. But that why isn't it that? Why is the common denominator X? Well, because that's what they're about. They're about hate and causing division. And that's the platform that like champions hate and division right now. Like, I mean, like, sure, it's all over social media, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's all over the place in various degrees, but nowhere like X. Like, the algorithm is actually bent toward making people angry, not giving people what they enjoy. And like, you want cat videos? We'll send you 1,000 cat videos. Like, that's like, Winsome's happy. But like, that's not what they're doing. They're not. It's not based off of enjoyment. It's about who can be the loudest and the angriest, and that's like everything to the Christian nationalists. And a lot of these gig evas that he's talking about are Christian nationalists. As again, I have to refresh this because it wouldn't move. Okay. All right, let's keep on going. No individual group or writer in Gig Eva will likely enjoy the breadth of influence experienced by their Big Eva forefathers, 100%. They won't, like, it'll never be 20,000 people in an auditorium to hear, Doug Wilson. It won't even ever be that way. The diffused nature of online discourse means that there will never be a focal point of the kind provided by the conference stage in the 10,000 seat convention hall. But Gig Eva may well reshape significant parts of the Christian culture because it is so attuned to the pieties of the dominant expressive individualism of our day. I don't like these people. They all want to go in individualism. I think they're getting too artsy fartsy. Like, that's not really what it's about. I mean, partially, but it's just the idea that you can make something of yourself and you can pay attention to the people that you want to pay attention to. Is that individualism, or is that just having availability. I don't know. Its advocates validate their personal authenticity by their constant iconoclasm, smart people stuff. Their decrying of anything that stands in their way, and their priority of disembodied, cost free online engagement over the more expensive demands of service, accountability to real people in real time in church and in homes. Big Eva had its problems. Gig Eva is only set to intensify them. 100% that last part. This idea of like, oh, cost-free online engagement. You mean like it probably should have been the whole time? Like that's one thing. Like the Big Eva, they really like the money stuff and paying a lot of money for, we're gonna get free books. We're gonna give free books. Well, if you bought all those books, that's $100, and you're paying $300 to be at the Shepherd's Conference. So, like, what are you talking about? But they have expenses, $200 a person expenses of their own building. Okay, um, but that's true, man. Like that I think this article so gets what's happening with Christian nationalists, and I do. The one big criticism I would say, I wish he would have just said that. I wish he would have just said that Christian nationalists are gig Eva. Like, because you could see it. Like, the Christian nationalists know it's about them. Like, because you see them online and they're all freaking out about this. But, like, you could have just said it was them and really called them out. But, like, it's boisterous, sure, but, like, it could have been pointed. Um, but, yeah. It's true though that they're never going to have that same amount of influence because they are building off of hate and anger rather than on truth and good and like helping people. It's not about helping people. It's about forcing others, these people, their opponents down. Like that's what it's about. It's not really about helping people. But I thought that was pretty good. It pretty much encapsulates everything that I've been saying for the last couple of years in just like, like six really pithy paragraphs. And, I could have just done that and then I wouldn't have had to make like 500 videos. But yeah, so it's nice to see that though, that some people are getting it. And I think they are like maybe a little mad, maybe a little jealous that like this new brand is emerging and they're having the influence that they wish that they still had. Like Big Eva guys, they all wish that they still had that influence and that they could pack all those arenas. You know that, but they don't, and so they're probably looking down and being like, get off my lawn, kind of thing. Maybe out of jealousy, maybe out of truth. But either way, they probably should get off the lawn. So like, there's that. But those are the things I wanted to bring out and talk to you guys about. And now I will leave it up for you. We can talk about what you want to talk about now. Siams says, Dean is so prophetic. All right, this has been bothering me the whole time. All right, I did it for one thing, and it was like, all? Do you want all of it red? I was like, no, man, I really don't. But they just like did that. That's not even fully white, but we're going to go with it. Dean is so prophetic. I thought it said pathetic, but prophetic is better. Everyone else is just playing catch up. Am I, or did, like, probably a lot of these people saw the same things, but they were all just so involved in these circles that they felt like they couldn't say it at the time. And now everyone's like, yep. But I don't think it's really about me being prophetic, except for about those cat videos. Instagram might be the best algorithm, by the way. It actually gives you what you want. Like it really does. Like I can go on mine and see a bunch of Lego and Mariner stuff, and it's great. It's sad now that whoever can grow the largest audience are the ones looking to the most, as if success is a marker for godliness. Well, I mean, that's what they look at. Like all these guys, they love Driscoll now. Like Driscoll's like their big guy and probably always has been. They have like their downloaded sermons that they listen to when they think no one's watching or paying attention. And but he grew something and he's continuing to grow and have success so that now they like him, right? If he was nobody, they wouldn't like him, right? Like that's how they work. I recently left X. I'm on Blue Sky now. Much prefer it. I don't know. The algorithm just is like nothing. It's like a big old nothing burger on Blue Sky. I like the idea of it. Went on there and reconnected with some people that I really liked from Christian Twitter, weird Christian Twitter back in the day. But I just haven't been on there a whole lot. Sorry. Um, X is curated for such characters 100%. Russell Moore just recently did an interesting interview with a guy, I don't recall his name, and they discussed internet life and AI. AI is of the devil. Will you have the link to this article to the description? No, but you can Google it, Carl Trueman, Gig Eva, and it'll come right up. We're in Christian idolatry culture. Please, people going around saying so and so is my favorite XYZ, ranking the brethren in violation of scripture. Yeah, who would do any kind of like a tier ranking? So violating scripture. Don't look up any of my past videos, okay? Just don't. I don't believe anything what Trump says. Before he was running, I didn't care who ran for president. Yeah, like I don't care about him. But everyone and their mom does apparently. And he's the greatest. And even though he says like the worst stuff ever and says stuff about 51st state, so stupid. All right. When he was president, I followed the party line and disliked him. I'm slowly realizing that there are some things that have been misrepresented about him. Yeah, here's I've always liked him. Like I remember uh having a conversation with a buddy in Bible college before the election, and like just being like, don't tell anybody, but I kind of like the guy. Like he's just a likable dude. And like, come on, man. Like I just saw a video of him like joking around with his wife about ketchup, and like when are you going to find something that relatable and funny, and just you could see the love between these two that you see with like other heads of state. You just don't see that kind of stuff. And I appreciate that. uh Oh my hood, Dean, the Christian nationalist Gestapo is going to seize your laptop for that statement. Maybe, I don't know. Come and get it, son. JD Variety Channel, I don't care if people vote or not. I don't always vote. You don't have to. I've said that. A lot of people got mad at me for that. You don't have to vote as a Christian. You don't have to. It's not like you're not like Jesus isn't going to ask you about it. Like he's not. You're not going to get to heaven and God's going to be like, yeah, but how did you vote? Did you vote in all your elections? Both federal and state. That's not. That's not what it's about. I'm not reflecting much on his policy, but I am embarrassed about how much I held him in. How much contempt I held him in. Yeah, you're not alone. Lots of people didn't like him because people told him that you shouldn't, and they made it seem like if you talk positively about someone's personal life, that you must approve of everything. It's just that weird thing that we see so many people doing today, where they just all of a sudden go like, it's either all or nothing. You can either love or hate someone, and there's no in between, and there's no nuance. Thank you, Dean. It's nice to hear someone with similar opinions again. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I have opinions, and sometimes people like them, sometimes people don't. Christian nationalism is also creeping into the Spanish-speaking churches. That makes sense. There's a lot of legalism in Spanish-speaking churches. It's true, especially in the charismatic world. There's a lot of legalism, and nobody loves legalists like Christian nationalists. So I have the Lego Titanic in Baird Doer. I don't know what Baird Doer is, but the Lego Titanic is pretty rad. That is the same conclusion about AI they arrived at too, lol. And I also agree. Like, it's just the worst, and it's going to ruin everything. It's going to ruin media, movies, books, podcasts. It's going to ruin everything. Robots will ruin everything. And we're never going to know whether something is real or not. People are going to show you videos. It's all going to be deep faked. It's like real apocalyptic crap. Um, to be honest, I'm pushing through my annoyance as to why self professing Bible believing Christians are embracing Christian nationalists. It's a serious topic, yet I'm being unserious because I'm annoyed. Yeah, that's fair. That's one way to do it for 100%. Pray for America. The government shutdown is hurting people. People are not getting paid. Yeah. I who was it? There was some political figure who was on like a talk show, and you had like a veteran's wife calling about like how they can't get, health care for this part because they can't pay, and like all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, it really does hurt people. We'll have to catch up with the banter later as we are visiting with the in-laws. Thanks for doing this, Dean. Really good to see you. Good to see you too. It's banter time. Pow, 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 pow. People are quiet about politics in California. At church, someone made a statement. I was being brought back to my car. A lady had an Arizona plate. I asked her if it's still a friendly state. I think it is. I don't know. Isn't that weird? Like friendly states is the thing. What do you think about Moeller, Duncan, and Dever are back at Shepherd's conference, and two Charlie Kirk elevate as martyr? Go back to the beginning of the podcast, or it's not a podcast anymore, the stream, and you'll see what I thought about that second part. Moeller, Duncan, and Dever back at Shepherd's conference. Is that true? I could search that up. Let me search Shepherd's conference, not Shepherd's pie. I don't want Shepherd's pie. They have speakers on the right. Whoa, looky. Okay. Look at this. You can't see it all. We got John Piper, Ligon Duncan, Al Mohler, Mark Dever, Joel Beakey, Michael Reeves, H.B. Charles, Paul Washer. Wow. Phil Johnson's still there. I wonder if he'll moderate anything. But, no Austin Duncan. This is just more. What the heck happened with that guy? What is this? I don't know, but I'm happy to see that, to be honest. That's something that never should have happened, and it was dumb that they just like separated over that stuff. All the wokeness. It's not. No, we don't need that. I think you have a lot of Big Eva folk worried about legacy and realize it's not good, so they project onto Gig Eva. Gig Eva can be a beast unto itself, but Big Eva is covering their posterior. I mean, like there are people. Yeah, you're right. Like Big Eva's scared that like these people are going to be taking up the mantle, and that's terrifying, right? Like I think about Gen Z and bringing up the mantle on fashion. It's like, come on, man. Like you guys look like you're copying the '90s. Do you think people in other countries are laughing at what is happening in the United States? No, I think a lot of people are scared about what's happening. It's kind of terrifying to see, like, even with the tariffs going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. That's terrifying. No one knows what's going on. Also, you look good without the hat. Thank you. I have hair. If anyone cared, I do have hair. I am thinking Canada doesn't want to be the 51st state. Yep. I remember Vody calling Christian nationalism a straw man, and then he fell into that group so hard. He's like, "I'm in, baby. give me all the straws." Yeah, I disagreed strongly with the tier video, but I don't hate you. You should rethink doing that though, based on the First Corinthians 3 principle. Yeah, I see that very differently. And I don't think saying I like this guy more than another guy as far as his teaching, you like people more than other people. Maybe you like me more than other people. Maybe you don't like me more than other people. Maybe the more I talk, the less you like me, Like it's just like that. It's not saying like I would treat them differently than someone else, Like it's not about human dignity, which is really what First Corinthians 3 is about. I have zero respect left for Moeller. You don't have to. Man, that's a landmine, man. Al Mohler is a complicated fellow. He says stuff and he goes back and he says, "Oh, I was really about this," and then he wasn't about this. And then Charlie Kirk dies, and he's like, "I've actually always been friends with Charlie Kirk." And it's like, okay, it didn't really seem like that. Like, but okay. Um, but yeah. Shepherd's pie might be more nutritious than Shepherd's conference. LOL, you might be right about that. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't know. And it's one of those things again, like I don't want there to be a story, but like the fact that like they just don't talk about it, it's just like so something happened, right? Like it wouldn't have to be a story if you just said he moved on to a different ministry, or say whatever it is, but they're just like, yeah, that guy who was a main part of everything that was going on and preached for months at the church and has been like wasn't he the dean of the school of their theology after well with Lawson, and now that Lawson's gone, he was like in charge. And then he's just like, and he's gone. He's just gone now, and don't ask any questions. What? What happened? I still want to know about Sam Horn. What What is that about? I don't know. I got about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Question. All right. Okay. How does a Christian nationalist justify this position to other Christians living in non Christian nations? Easy. They don't talk to them because they're immigrants. Like, I mean, I'm kidding, but also like it's serious. Like, that's how foolish these people are. They're just like, it doesn't factor into it at all. Like, here's how foolish it is. A lot of these supposed Christian nationalists are supposedly Baptists, and it's just like you have no idea about the Baptist faith and tradition if you're like going in and being like, we should be in charge of government. It's like the main thing that we were about that differentiated. There were plenty of people that believed in baptism by, going all the way in, and not the sprinkles. There were plenty of people that did that. What made Baptist was really how they viewed government. And for these people to be like, yeah, I'm a Baptist and I fit right in. I actually want to be in charge of a lot of Baptists. And actually, my name is Joe Rigney, and I'm going to be the president of a Baptist institution. And then, like a year later, I'm actually going to be baptizing all the infants. And, I'm also a Christian nationalist. Like, what? That doesn't make any dang sense. We never knew you had nice curly hair. I vote to leave the hat off. I do have curly hair. I used to rock my white man fro back in the day. Those were basketball days. I used to have hair like Napoleon Dynamite. So that's that. But I'm balding now. I'm balding in the back, so I don't do it that much. But maybe that's because I wore all the hats. I don't know. Life is a mystery. What if you're a Chinese nationalist? Then they wouldn't consider you a Christian, probably, because you would be one of them communists. That's why. And that's the worst. I got a hankering and made a massive and fantastic batch of shepherd's pie. It fed a party and the guys in my shop the next day. Good times. What a great story. um, but I had chicken pot pie tonight because my wife made me a personal one. She made one just for me. It was all mine. And I made it tonight because she was gone. The kids could have corn dogs. I'm having my own chicken pot pie. It was a little one. Don't judge me, okay? But, Dean will now be featured in Pantene in ads. That's right. Which one is "You're Worth It" or something like that? That'll be me. That'll be me. Uh, it'll probably be a little bit. I want to kind of like I like this of like having all the interaction and talking about a bunch of different things. It's kind of fun for me. Hopefully I can get this whole thing working a little bit more efficiently so we can actually see the stuff. That's super frustrating. So I don't know. I don't know. This thing didn't work too well. This is a brand new computer Dore. Like what is going on? But anyways, I'm gonna go. My wife is gonna come home, probably going to watch Ghosts, the TV show. Super funny. Super funny. It's a super funny show. Anyways, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for, still paying attention to some guy, some random dude who probably says crap too much and, rambles for hours at a time. I appreciate you guys paying attention to little old me. And I'll probably come back in a couple weeks, do another stream. Here's what I promise you guys. I will not just stream. If I just stream, it'll be like a chill stream. I'm not going to just like all of a sudden go, okay, here's the show tonight. Tonight is the show, and it's going to be like, I'm going to try to plan these things out like a week in advance and be like, that's the stuff. And here's some of the things we're going to talk about. Maybe put some more stuff into the description. I think I don't have anything in the subscription. I don't, or in the little box. I don't think I typed anything. I might have typed something, but not anything worthwhile. But yeah, so I'm going to announce that though, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, I don't want to miss it or something like that. But I'll try to plan it out, and so you'll see it, have notifications on, and you'll be it'll at least be like at least 3 days. The very least 3 days I'll plan out when I'm having one of these kinds of a streams. But it'll probably be a couple weeks before I do another one, because I want to kind of like get a few things and just make a night of it. So try your kitchen. I bet it would work there. The stream, the taking the MacBook into the kitchen. I might. I want to stream in every single room. Stream in the shop. That's not. Nope. 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 I don't think we're gonna do that. Okay. I'll see you guys. Bye bye.